Funny say you.
About 5 minutes. Waiting and to play with. I raise my children up to say the same shit. Dear Lord, I hope you hear my prayers, because we really, really need you down here. From all the pain that we going through, we know that you're real, so can you fall through? Father, have mercy when we call on you. But I just wanna fall on you, to show the devils you waiting and to play with. I raise my children up to say the same shit.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Look, I keep it loyal to the T. UBK play for keeps. Ain't shit sweet. Got soldiers on deck, and my youngin' did a sweep. This a whole nother way. Go ahead. Tell him get the fuck off the beach. Go ahead. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Nigga come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas go retreat. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas go retreat. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas go retreat. Go ahead. This shit is too easy. I'm on gold, but they don't believe it. You know I'm winning with the team. Screaming Vinny, 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 VJ. Need them devils screaming out bloody murder. I'm about to close the curtain. Mama grind, bitch, I'm working. Sorry, all them lies, it ain't working. Them niggas weak, they be churching. I'm a West nigga, that's for certain. If he cross the line, I'm gonna back up and I'ma hit his ass with his virus. And I come through 300 strong, 144 Leonidas. All my niggas, we eat. I'm in this bitch with the itis. Say, all y'all do the sweet. Tell y'all to do the sweet. The nigga made the wrong move, he make his ass obsolete. He ain't one of us, hit the lead. He ain't one of us, he a preach. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas go retreat. Go ahead. I keep it loyal to the T. UBK play for keeps. Ain't shit sweet. Got soldiers on deck, and my youngin' did a sweep. This a whole nother wave. Tell him get the fuck off the beach. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Nigga come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas go retreat. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas go retreat. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas go retreat.
You see this look that's on my face, bitch, I'm for real with it. I hit the streets, put on my cleats, was in the field with it. You soft as cotton, just an actor, Uncle Phil with it. And then my targets on the move, but I can still hit it. Hey, I speak true cause it's necessary. Gullah Jack revolutionary. Cold on them like January. Commander General is a visionary. Soul food, no sweets. Your preacher man, he's sweet. Matter of fact, he weak. It's wartime for peace. Think you hard, nigga, you ain't. Fuck with us, nigga, you can't. You smart cars, we takes. We form up in ranks. We body bag this rap shit. All black, no bright shit. Real life, no cap, bitch. Fall on them, that's cap shit.
I keep it loyal to the T. UBK play for keeps. Ain't shit sweet. Got soldiers on deck, and my youngin' did a sweep. This a whole nother way. Tell him get the fuck off the beach. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Nigga come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas go retreat. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas go retreat. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas go retreat. Go ahead.
Test. 1, 2, 1, 2. Let me just make sure Shalakia. Come on, bear with me. All right, we good to go. The audio should be good. I hope everybody can hear me on the live. I'm saying, so we're gonna get rocking with it. You know what I'm saying? Shalom, Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shah, Barakatah, all my brothers. Yahweh Shamar, Alathah Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shah, all the sisters. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. You know what I mean? Started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commandant General Yohana. Right? We out here at the Durham School. I'm saying Durham, North Carolina, priest and officer 500 1, holding down the language class. You know what I'm saying? As usual, of course, got my brother officer 50 Yanazar with me as well. Okay. So of course, like I said, Isupk Durham. It's the language class, right? So we're gonna get into breaking down this Hebrew, get an understanding of the language aspect of our culture. You know what I mean? And so we're gonna pick up from where we left off last week. We're actually gonna just kind of start, not really just jump into too much of an advanced topic, but we're gonna stay in the basics. But we are gonna kind of branch off of the last few things we've been talking about. We kind of just been getting some cultural things down. Like again, like last week we did the 18 nations. You know what I mean? We're gonna just kind of really not spend too much time on this because it's really with this is mostly just kind of just identifying these different nations. All right. And so we've already named them. We could go into kind of breaking down how to write their names in Hebrew. I'm saying so we'll spend a little bit of time on that, not too much, but we'll spend some time on that to help, you know what I'm saying, visualize how, you know what I'm saying, how these things line up. Okay. So we're going to do that. But before we do that, so for today, if I may, Salakia. So last week again, we did a review. We're going to do an alphabet review again, of course. We went into using the concordance. We're going to use this again today. We're going to talk about using the concordance today again. We did some common phrases. Today, we're actually going to get into some verbs and their relationship to nouns and understanding the difference. And then we went to the 18 nations. Like I said, we're going to just kind of use this to break down some Hebrew and review those letters again. All right. So, Seth Salakia. I could have left alphabet review. So, for today's intro, since we haven't read it in a while, give me the. I'm gonna get the. Yep. We'll do the prologue to the book of Ecclesiasticus. There's a statement in there that is very. Actually, no, I want to write it out larger so that everybody sees it against Salakia. The prologue to Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. Okay. Then we'll do let me see, let me get my phone. Salaki, check my notes. Then we will do we're just finding it. Find the scripture. Is somebody knock on the door? No. Okay, no sweat. Nehemiah. Then we'll do Nehemiah 13 and 4. And just quickly, we'll just do Zephaniah 2 and 1. After that, we'll do an alphabet review. That will segue into, we'll say, nations in Hebrew. All right. Then, of course, we're going to do some verbs. And we're going to talk, it's kind of new a little bit, verbs and nouns. We're going to talk about the relationship between the two that we see in Hebrew. And then, what was the last thing I wanted to talk about? Or was that the last thing? It was intro, alphabet review, nations, verses and now verbs. That might be the last thing, actually. Yeah, but we already did that. I didn't know that. This is correct. Yeah, this is correct. The reason why it threw me off because I didn't write a 4 next to nations in Hebrew. Right. We're just going to kind of use the alphabet. We're going to do the alphabet review and segue this into part of reviewing the alphabet and how we write things. And you could also say we're going to review the connectors as well, right? Then we're going to get into the verbs and nouns, which is going to be some new words, right? Some new words and also some we're already familiar with. Okay. So with that being said, if you could, Bob Kushal, give me the prologue to the book of Ecclesiastes. Hey, we got Most High in Christ. Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabrakatah. What's going on, brothers? Good to see y'all. Okay, so yeah, let me get the prologue to the book of Ecclesiasticus. Read it from the very top, just so they can understand, right? So we're in the book of Ecclesiasticus, which is in the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha, of course, means what? What does Apocrypha mean? Yeah,
the hidden things or the hidden books.
Right, the hidden things or the hidden books. Right? Now, these books were taken out of the Bible, right? By who?
By order of the Catholic Church.
By order of the Catholic Church. Now, that may seem strange to somebody, right? It used to seem strange to me if you don't know the history. Because I would say, well, wait a minute. Like, I mean, why would the Catholic Church want to take something out the Bible? Well, first you got to know the Catholic Church is a bunch of Christians. A bunch of money-grubbing, child-molesting Christians. That's number one. Who hate black people. You understand? And King James commissioned the translation, the King James Bible. King James was not down with the Catholic Church. That's what threw me off. The Catholic Church wasn't taking books out of their own book. They were, messing with the work that King James, not himself, but the work that he had commissioned. Please.
If I may add, sir, up until that point, when in 1611, when King James had translated the Bible into English, there had been other attempts, but
I think 2 or 3.
But up until that era, until that period of time, the Catholic Church had total control over the scriptures.
Absolutely.
In the West. Total. So, but what King James did was open up the book to a whole different group of people.
Absolutely. Heavy history, which we could do as another topic, could become a lecture, Yanazar. Me and you got to get started on something, on something historical. Because that's absolutely true. The Catholic Church had a lockdown on the scriptures. You understand? I mean, we're talking about something that actually influenced the world as we know it today. 100%. The Puritans were what? Come on, but what's the other word to describe them in relation to the Catholic Church? Use the mic.
Religious refugees, like.
Give me the word. Give me it's a word.
I know.
And every so-called Christian in America today who is not a part of the Roman Catholic Church or Greek Orthodoxy,
Protestant,
that's the word. They were Protestants. Protestants. Come on. You good? Oh, no, don't worry about that. Come on. They were Protestants. Right? And a part of that whole thing, you know what I'm saying, what King James did by commissioning his Bible was take power from the Roman Catholic Church, and they didn't like that. They didn't like that. They remember the Roman Catholic Church, they didn't believe that people should have access to the scriptures. They believed that the only way they should be able to know these scriptures or do anything involved with them was through what they call the papacy, right? Or palpacy, which is the Pope. Huh?
The scriptures was written in Latin, and like you had to have like only the educated class was allowed to really read it. They had it in Latin as well.
Right.
Like that was like the upper class language.
See, now you're talking about something, Yanazar, because what people don't understand is that English was really a poor man's language. English was really like, remember, English is Germanic. It's not a Romance language. You know what I mean? This is the language of really the poor white trash of the time. Right. Shakespeare was the one who made English sound beautiful. That's why he gets so much credit. Shakespeare, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, was a black man. And Shakespeare was the one, right, who took this common language and exalted it, right? Which is why he gets so much props. But the point is, that's why these books got taken out by the Roman Catholic Church. The Apocrypha was in the Bible, in the 1611 King James Bible. So you don't got to read the beginning. You can just read right where we got to go, Yanazor.
Wherefore, let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us, wherein we may seem to come short of some words.
Right. This is the prologue to the book of Ecclesiasticus. And he's saying, pardon us when we may come short of some words. Go ahead.
Which we have labored.
We worked. Go ahead.
To interpret.
Go ahead.
For the same things uttered in Hebrew.
Go ahead.
And translated into another tongue.
And we broke it down a few weeks ago when we talked about it. The person who's writing this, what did they write it in?
In Hebrew.
No, they didn't.
No. You mean, what did they?
What did the person who's writing this part, what did he write it in?
Greek.
In Greek.
Con.
The Apocrypha was in Greek.
Con.
You understand? It was in Greek. It was then later translated to English. But it was in its entirety in Greek. So it's really, what we're about to read is really going through multiple translations. You understand? Now read that part again.
And translated into another tongue, have not the same force in them. Not only these things, but the Lord itself.
Wait, no, you read from the top, but the translated from Hebrew. For
the same things uttered in Hebrew.
Go ahead.
And translated into another tongue. Have not the same force in them.
Right, they don't have the same force in the languages that they're being translated to. That's why it is so important for us to learn Hebrew. That is why the ISUPK, under Commandant General Yohana, teaches Hebrew every Friday in a city near you. It's why we've been teaching Hebrew since 1969. Go ahead, Yanazor.
If I may, sir, I gotta bring it out, man. Because last night in the debate, they tried to use Hebrew against Captain Qatazar. But the problem that they had was that they were using the Assyrian, which has nothing to do with the ISUPK or the topic that they were into last night. And what I'm trying to say that to show how important it is for us to know that ancient Hebrew, the real Hebrew, because if we didn't, then these other fools could put one over.
Right, yeah, they can confound you if you don't know what time it is. The reality is their entire book is full of nonsense, and it comes. I don't respect no religion, but you know what I'm saying. Christianity is older than Islam by hundreds of years, and their language is really just a rip. To be quite honest with you. Is your mic dying or is it? Okay, come on, no sweat.
Because I know it gets that.
No, I just want to make
feedback.
sure it's not dying like the battery's messed up. But
No. It's me out of one.
Most High in Christ. Yeah.
They tried to use the things that divide Christians in the ISUPK, like the differences. They try to use those differences, like the Quran is like a mediator or some type of mediation between Christianity, because they always bring up the fact that y'all read out the same book, but y'all worship different gods type argument. You understand what I'm saying? So they always try to make it seem like, like they're the correctors, like they're correcting.
They're the correctors.
They're like the Quran is correcting the things in the Bible that was altered.
So I got to listen to a pedophile.
According to them.
So I should drop everything. This book that tells me not to be a pedophile, not to be a thief, not to be a murderer, not to be a drug dealer, to love my people. I got to drop that, but I should accept the words of an actual on paper pedophile. Like, it's documented.
If I may, so these things show how much BS it really is. This the Quran, because like the contradictions are so glaring, and it's always the key points. You understand? And the foundation that we get from knowing the Hebrew is really what we really standing on. That's what we're really standing on. You understand? Most High in Christ.
No, damn right. The water for that. Read on. Because this is what they don't understand. Go ahead.
And translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. And not only these things.
Right. Not only these things. What is he talking about when he says not only these things? Go ahead, young son.
Not only this book.
Right.
Not only these books here. And he's
not only what we just translated.
Right.
Go ahead.
But the law itself.
But the law itself. Now he's one of the people, you know what I'm saying, that helped translate it. You'd think that if he was going to be puffed up, he'd be like, yeah, man, we translated this so well, man. You don't even really need the original. This is perfect right here. But he ain't saying that. Go ahead,
if I may, this is how diligently they worked. His father began to work.
Right.
His father died, and he continued for years. I mean, like when he say they labored, they labored.
Absolutely.
He took on his father's work. That's how diligently he tried to translate.
Right.
And it still loses something in the translation.
Absolutely. This is not something that happened overnight. You understand? But still, the work was done, and they translated it. Read on.
But the law itself.
The law itself. Go ahead.
And the prophets.
And the prophets. So the law itself, you need to know some Hebrew. You need to know some Hebrew to know what the proper word is for kill or murder. You need to know some Hebrew to know what take hold means. Right? Because I ain't gonna say no names, but a fake Israelite group, he gonna pick up a Bible and say, you see what it say right there? It say take hold. That means you grab her and strangle her and have your way with her. And he'll say that with a straight face. But if you actually know the Hebrew, then you will know that that's not what that means at all. Read on.
And the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken, Salakia, in their own language.
John, no sweat. The young man Victor asks, Salakia Adawan, where can we find that the Bible is older than the Quran? I've heard people try to say the Quran is older. To be honest with you, that's something you could damn near Google and find on Wikipedia. Like, honestly, the Quran is supposedly was written by a man who was born in what, 600 BC? AD, excuse me, 600 AD? Somewhere between 600 and 800 AD, right? First of all, you know that the Quran, how do you know that the Quran, what's the most easiest way to know that the Bible is older than the Quran? Nope, that's not the easiest way. That's a good way. Khan, you're right. It's a good way. What's the easiest way to know that the Bible has to be older than the Quran? It's simple. No, you're getting close. I mean, you kind of around it. The answer is where? In the Quran. The Quran does what? It references the Bible. So how could the Bible come after if the Quran is mentioning the Bible in its pages? You know what I mean? Unless this is a magic book that traveled before its inception. And the Bible is before the Quran, and it says it in the Quran. The Dead Sea Scrolls. No, I mean the Dead Sea Scrolls are older, but I mean you just got to read it. Just read the Quran. Just find the surah that says where it says, remember the favor I bestowed to the children of Israel. That's referenced in the Bible. You understand? Like that comes from the Bible. Go ahead, Ayana.
Also, if I may, the reference in the Quran that Christ wasn't crucified as well. They referenced that yesterday. They referenced a surah in the Quran that says that Christ wasn't really crucified, that they replaced him with a fake Christ, and they crucified him.
The New Testament was written what? 1500. I mean, the way we look at now, the New Testament was thousands of years ago. At the time the New Testament was written, Moses was thousands of years before that. You understand? Thousands of years before that. And in the New Testament, you understand, there are people writing who are contemporaries of Christ, meaning that while Christ was alive, they walked the earth. Paul is one of them. You know what I'm saying? So if they're writing letters, Paul, the epistles, as you bring out all the time, the epistles are letters. Like, I mean, people may not understand and visualize it, but he wrote them. Like, he might have had a scribe with him. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who was really could write well, but he was telling them, hey, so write this down. You know what I'm saying? If you're not Isupk, you know what it's like when you're in a council or whatever, or if you got major council and you got to take notes. So think of a scribe like that, right? And Paul might have said to the school in Corinth, tell them that I've heard word of such and such, and the scribe is count. Right? But they're contemporaries of Christ. You know what I'm saying? Even if they may have never actually met Christ, they lived during his time. And yet this Quran is mentioning Christ a long time later. So the Bible is way before the Quran. All right? Any more on that, Yanazor? Come on, drop that. Max, just jump to Zephaniah 2:1 so we can get into this Hebrew.
The book of Zephaniah, chapter 2.
Make sure you use the mic.
The book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 1. Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together.
Right, gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together. Told you twice. Read on. This is my favorite part. This the real key.
O nation.
Oh, what?
O nation.
No, just a bunch of different people that got nothing to do with each other.
O nation.
Oh, nation. What is it? Go ahead.
Salakia.
No, you good.
Not desired.
Right. So we know it's a nation that's not desired, but what is a nation? We broke it down before. You know what I'm saying? We read the definition. A nation is a group of people. Go ahead.
You know, if I may, sir, like in the biblical text or context of a nation is a family, an extended family that has a common bloodline, a common history, a common land, and a common language.
And I couldn't have said it any better myself, Yanazar. That's exactly what it is. That's what a nation is. And it says, oh, nation not desired. If we were to go to the book of Psalms, chapter 83, it says what? They devised a plan. You can go there, but I'm just going to paraphrase it, right? Where they said, where these heathen nations devised a plan, they make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. They have consulted against thy hidden ones. You know what I'm saying? And what did they say? Come and let us cut them off from what? Hold up, you got to say it again. There you go.
From being a nation.
Let us cut them off from being a nation, and repeat what you said, Yanazar. So if they cut us off from being a nation, that means they cut us off from what?
From our land, our language, and our knowledge of ourselves, our knowledge of our family.
They even cut us off from our families.
Yep. And they still do it.
Which is why it's hard for you to look at another black man and see your brother, to look at a Hispanic man and see your brother, to look at a Native Indian man and see your brother or your sister. It's hard for you because in your brain, another black man is just, another piece of garbage, that you should hate. And a so-called Mexican is just somebody you should hate and ridicule and make fun of. You know what I'm saying? Or a Gadite is just, to you, is just some race of people that used to be around here and aren't here no more. But that's your goddamn blood, man. Your family. Go ahead, Yanazar. Turn the mic on. You actually should be good. Is it just, if you want, you can just turn it away from when if you hear some feedback.
One of the brothers called in and he said him and his wife was going to Europe. And he asked Captain Qadash, could he refer him to anything that he should see while he was over there? And one of the things that Captain Qadash mentioned was that in a museum in Spain, I forgot the name of the museum, Lord. But he said they have artifacts that they stole from the Native Americans, and it has the shield of David and all of that.
Wow.
On the artifacts in this museum in France. You know, and he suggested that if the brother was going to France, he should look at that. You know, so you understand, it's like it's so much evidence. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, that's heavy. Doc. You know what I'm saying? We reading Zephaniah 2:1. Pair them two together. Pair those two scriptures together and make sense of it. Zephaniah 2:1 says, "Gather yourselves together, O nation not desired." Then Psalms 83 tells you that their plan was to cut us off from being a nation. You look at the definition of nation, and now you know that can't be talking about anybody else. It can't be talking about anybody else.
And part of the scheme, if I may, is like now nations, they don't even call it nations anymore. The nations now are borders. It's not even defined as it is defined by the Bible.
Right.
That's why I always use the biblical context.
Absolutely.
For a nation. I don't care about no other way of looking at a nation.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Because look at Africa. Africa is divided by borderline. I'm just using them as an example.
Right, I got you.
And within that border is 4 different nations within that border. And then part of this nation is on the other side of the border.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So borders is something that the so-called devils and them,
I'm so glad you said that.
they invented that.
Absolutely. The borders that you're seeing are inventions. The so-called devil, the oppressor, he is in charge. The Bible says what? The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. All those lines you're seeing on those maps, that's not real. I don't know if brothers, and sisters know this, but though, and it's funny too, because we look at me and Yanazar is from New York, right? So I can see New York in my brain. Like I know what it looks like. I know the shape of New York. I know what the city looks like. I know the shape of, Long Island, right? But all of those lines that separate New York from Pennsylvania and separate Pennsylvania from Jersey and Jersey from this and that, it's not real. You can't, there's nowhere you can go and step on that line because it's not real. You know what I'm saying? That's the devil carving out things as he saw fit. Literally, the 13 colonies, they used to have a different shape. Go look at the 13 colonies. When the 13 colonies originally, those were not the same shapes they are now. Absolutely not. Then you go on to add the Louisiana Purchase and so on and so forth. These are just, the devil divvying up his, pause. I ain't gonna say the word, but he's just divvying up his treasure that he stole. All right. Any more on that? Come on, no sweat. All right, let's get into this. Okay. So last week did the 18 nations. All right. Now, as the brother brought out, this does not represent every single group of people on planet Earth. Why? Because some of those other nations are just not mentioned. They have I hate to say it, they ain't do much. They're not significant on planet Earth. And it's very obvious if you really look at them, I don't mean look at them physically. I mean, look at their history, and if you really kind of just see what they do, they're just some people that's just there. Like they don't really play a big role. And isn't that the way of the world anyway? It's no different than playing sports, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you may have you got your main players on the court, you know what I'm saying? You got your star player, your role players, and then you got a guy he's just there. You know what I mean? He don't do much. He just, you gotta have this many players to make a team. And so he's there, right? These are the major players. If you notice, if you really pay attention, these are the major players. All of these have something to do with history and with the future in some way. You know what I'm saying? Italy, Spain, Germany, Greece, right? Magog or Russia, France. You know what I'm saying? You have never heard of, have the Hawaiians ever been in a war? I mean, like a world war. Never. You know what I mean? Like, no, this is people who are involved in world wars. You have something on this?
Are not mentioned you can just quickly look over their history and see that whenever they came in contact with any of these nations, they were quickly conquered.
Right. Absolutely.
And what's the word I'm looking for? And they became colonies. They became colonized very quickly.
Right. And if you look at them, they're on the fringe of society. They're almost on the fringe of the earth. They're all almost like kind of relegated to these like small islands off of somewhere that no one is really thinking about or, you know what I'm saying, involved with at all. Okay. And it's not a slight to them. Again, we got no real major beef with them. And I mean, they're heathens, but they're not, and they are our enemies by definition of being heathens, but they are not our oppressor. You know what I'm saying? Hawaiians don't oppress black people. These motherfuckers oppress black people. And all of the rest of these motherfuckers help them do it. You know what I'm saying? Hawaiians are not important enough. And I mean, Polynesians, all of them are not big enough, important enough, or valid enough to to even really be in this conversation. But these nations, you know what I'm saying? These Hamitic nations, these European nations, I mean, these European nations, as they would become to be known, even if they're not the original Europeans, which goes back to what you said, the original Europeans are people who are not even on this list, right? But they couldn't fight. They couldn't fight back, and now they living in an island in Fiji somewhere. All right. So this is what we did. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have Yanazar. Let's get a little alphabet review, real fast. If you could, Baba Kusha. Damn, Most High in Christ, my guy. All right. Let's get a quick alphabet review, and then we're going to use it to kind of see how we break down some of these names, all right? So I hope everybody's paying attention, okay? Yes, if you could, Baba Kusha. Let's start out with the ancient. We should have enough space to do both, right? So you kind of just, we'll just cut it off right about there, ancient Assyrian. Most High in Christ. The water, brother. All right. Again, I hope everybody can see. I'm going to move the camera back just a little bit. There you go. Most High in Christ. Now, again, for the past few weeks, we've been doing some different techniques in terms of being able to show how we write down some of these letters. We're not going to actually, you know what I'm saying, we're not going to do that today, but still pay attention to to how he's writing on the board what we called a few weeks ago letter form. Letter form is just means, you know what I'm saying, the shape of the letters, how you write them. All right. And we want to be able to do this consistently. That is important. And again, notice if you're new to the language, notice that he's writing the alphabet from what? From right to left. From right to left. This is the proper, it's the only way to write Hebrew. Hebrew is an ancient Shemitic language, or you might see some people say Semitic. Semitic. You might see that. While you're doing that, Jonas, I'm gonna be over here and I'm gonna write it right here. Okay. You might see someone say that Hebrew is a Semitic language. Semitic. Okay. Semitic simply means a language that is from the region where the people who descended from Shem were. Shem. You understand? Now, don't get this twisted, because this is not always accurate. Why do I say that? Why do I say this is not always accurate? Because sometimes they'll attribute certain North African languages to being Semitic when they're not. Because if they're languages of Hamites, then they can't be Shemitic. But here's two examples of Shemitic languages that are in fact Shemitic, right? So we got Hebrew, right? Which comes from, that word comes from a brother named Eber, okay? Eber, which I mean, it means something related to things past or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. But it's something to do with the past, right? So Hebrew and another Shemitic language, speaking of the conversation or the debate that was had yesterday, is what? Arabic, right? Arabic is another Shemitic language. Languages, like people, have what? Families. Okay? They descend from other languages. Okay? For example, I say it all the time. The English language is a descendant of German. German and English are related. They are related languages. If you were to go back, another point I make all the time, if you were to go back from English as we know it today, what we speak is called modern English. Okay? Believe it or not, this may shock people, the English that Shakespeare spoke is also considered modern English. See, you see how that works? It sounds crazy, right? But it's absolutely true. The English that Shakespeare spoke would be called modern English, right? It's just so happened that now we refer to it as Old Quaker English, right? That's not a linguistic terminology. That's a terminology used to describe a certain kind of speech patterns, thou and thus, and you know what I'm saying, therefore, and you know what I'm saying, and things like that. But before Shakespeare, hundreds of years before Shakespeare, in the late 1500s, early 1600s, there was a thing called Middle English. Middle English. Middle English was again, you gotta go back and watch those movies like go back and watch what's that movie with the cat with Heath Ledger, A Knight's Tale. Go back and watch A Knight's Tale. I believe that happens around that time. Medieval times. During medieval times. Remember, medieval times is hundreds of years before Shakespeare. This is the 1200s, 1300s. You the top. Oh, here we go. The water, brother. Right. Medieval times is hundreds of years before Shakespeare. If I'm not mistaken, this is during what they call the Dark Ages. And during the Dark Ages, you know who was poor during the Dark Ages? So-called Europeans were poor. They had to climb out of that. So-called Europeans were dirt poor, you know what I'm saying, pieces of garbage who spoke a disgusting, nasty, disgusting language. And they were vile people. Again, go watch movies like A Knight's Tale. Just, you know what I'm saying, just go do some research on medieval times and see how things were. They were very vile people. And the language that they spoke at the time it wouldn't have called it at the time, but what we refer to now is Middle English. And if you go read poems by a poet named Geoffrey Chaucer, Chaucer, Geoffrey Chaucer, right, was a poet during the Middle Ages, and he spoke or wrote in Middle English. Okay, Chaucer is Geoffrey, but spelled like, you know, like Joffrey, Geoffre, while his last name is spelled Chaucer. Geoffrey Chaucer. He wrote a very famous collection of poems, or a long poem in itself, called the Canterbury Tales. The Canterbury Tales. Some of those famous, you know what I'm saying, medieval time stories like A Knight's Tale take some of, you know what I'm saying, some of the things as they're referenced from this poem, okay, or from this really long poem. Around the same time that was being written. Again, you have like you said it before, the more advanced languages, the languages of the upper class would have been Latin and things of that nature. Okay, even Italian would have been a higher, you know what I'm saying, more upper class language than English. Right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because of the papacy, right? So I'm saying that to say that languages have families. This language became the dominant language on earth after some time because it was the language that was spoken by the people who were conquering everybody. Okay, but families. So we go from English, Middle English, and then you have Old English. Old English from the 700s and the 800s, right? The oldest known literary work that exists today is Beowulf. Beowulf was written in Old English. It would be unrecognizable to anybody who speaks English today unless they've studied Old English, right? The water. Meaning if I was to put a page of Old English in front of you, you would not be able to read one word. With that being said, languages have families, and Hebrew and Arabic are from the same family linguistically. They are not the same language, but they're from the same family. So there is some overlap between the two. Okay? There is some overlap. And you can hear it if you study certain words. Right? So here we have the ancient Hebrew, the original, right? This is the version that our forefathers would have written down, would have used. Then you have the Assyrian. We used this when we were in captivity. You know what I'm saying? That we were in captivity and we adopted this letter form, but we were still speaking our language. All right. So I'm just gonna go through this. All right. So here we go. A, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, ta, za, kwa, ra, sha, tha. Okay? And the same here. A, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, ta, za, kwa, hold up. Kwa, ra, sha, tha. I see what you did. The brother I'm gonna just highlight these like this. So everybody know. And these are just the special forms that occur at the end of a word, specifically for the ka, the ma, the na, the pa, and the taza. All right? And we have an entire system for writing these, okay, for transliterating them, which I'm going to write right here, right underneath them, right? And remember, these match up, so just find the location of where it is, the third letter matches, and so on and so forth. But this is the transliteration, right? And this is how you would write the transliteration, so keep this in mind. A-H, ba, ga, da, ha, H-A, wa, W-A, za, cha. The cha is just a softer sound, Salakia, right? It's a softer sound than the ka, right? But it's a cha, kind of pause, kind of the back of the throat. Cha. We write two A's on it to make sure so you can see the difference and you know which one it is. The cha. Then you have the ta. Then you have the ya. This is the stronger ka. The la, right? Then you have the ma, the na, the sa. This letter here provides a vowel sound, but as we've discussed many times, Hebrew does not have written values. It's like written vowels. Salakia, sir, those in the Syrian have dots on the top? No. No dots. No dots. The brother was just trying to show you that this is connected to this one, not dots. So I'll make them little arrows. No, you absolutely too wild. No, they on the line they can't see it as well. Now there's no dots. We don't do dots in our language. Okay, this is just to signify that they're the same letter. Okay, no dots. All right. The I is a you could say it's a vowel sound. That is what? Phonetically. Giannis, if you can give me the definition of phonetically or phonetic, P-H-O-N-E-T-I-C. Phonetic. Go ahead and read that, brother.
Adjective, collegiate definition, representing the sound.
Representing the what?
The sounds.
The what?
The sounds.
The sounds. Phonetic or phonetically is only talking about the what?
The sound.
The sound. Phonetic. So I'll just write like this. The sound. Go ahead.
Constituting, representing the sounds and other phenomena of speech, such as A, constituting an alteration of ordinary spelling that better represents the spoken language.
Wait, see, you got to pay attention. Constituting a what?
An alteration.
An alteration, go ahead.
Of ordinary spelling.
Ordinary spelling, go ahead.
That better represents the spoken language.
That better represents the spoken language. So phonetics, right? The sound. How we in English, there's phonetics used even in English, right? Because in English, I may say, how do you let's think of a word? What's a word that has a silent letter in it?
Knife.
Here we go. Knife, right? We'll use a biblical word, even though knife is good, right? But the biblical word is psalm, but you may look in a dictionary and see something like or something like that, right? Like I'm writing it funny because I don't do this often, but it's to represent how it actually sounds. You don't say psalm, right? You say psalm. So the phonetic version would tell you would show you what it's supposed to sound like as opposed to what it may look like, right? Or here's a good one, right? So if I was to write in English, Qadash, I might write it phonetically as Qua, and I might write the dash to make you say, so you won't say dash. I might do like D with a and then I'll do a O, but it's like a short O. With that, remember that? If I'm elementary school, a little short O, that's how you use like a as opposed to a O or something like that. Dash, Quadash, right? I might write that to show you how to say it, right? Phonetically. So when it's similar to when we're doing this from English to Hebrew, or better yet, from Hebrew to English. What we're doing is transliterating. So look at that word real quick. We're transliterating the language. So when we say I, this is the sound, but it is not a vowel. It doesn't function as a vowel. Okay, the symbol is not the symbol of a vowel. All of these symbols are consonants. Okay. Yes, please.
Transliterate, to represent or spell in the characters of another alphabet.
Simple. To represent or spell in the characters of another alphabet. This we're using the English alphabet to represent the sounds of Hebrew letters. You understand what I'm saying? This symbol, the sound is ya, ya. So to get English readers to understand how to say it, we write it in English. We use English letters to form that sound. Okay? I, pa, tza, qua, ra, sha, and tha. Okay? And again, they match up with the Assyrian. It's the same thing. Okay? This is going to be your a, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, tza, qua, ra, sha, tha. These don't have different sounds. They're just these symbols at the end of a word. That's just more about how you write them on a page. All right. So now let's use this to write some of these. Okay. Again, we won't want to spend too much time on it. Actually, we got a little bit of time, but I don't know if we're gonna go through all of them, right? But everybody should have this. You know what I mean? We should be good here. All right. All right. So now, with these, we have the luxury of already having the transliterations. We have that luxury already. But let's shake it up. Let's change some things around, right? Let's do that. Let's erase this. My bad. I'm tripping. I'm tripping. There we go. Let's do another one. Let's see. Let's do another one. This will be an exercise in working backwards, right? Let's see, one more. I'm gonna switch up, maybe two. Let's switch up. It's a tough one, so we're gonna switch this one. This one we see. This one we see in the Sabbath service a lot. One second, bear with me. Check my phone. I want to make sure I spell it right. Got it. Mm-hmm. And two more over here. Salakia. Do year one. And we'll do let me just check my spelling for this one before I change it as well. Real quick. Okay, now I got it. Okay. Most High in Christ. All right. So we we still got the 18 nations up here, right? And let's first do a quick exercise in working in the opposite direction, right? Getting from this to Hebrew. That part is pretty easy. All we're gonna do is isolate the syllables, right? And the letters that we recognize, and we're gonna just go from there. And it's pretty simple. So for example, here we see an I, we know that's a letter. We see a Ya, we know that's a letter. We see a La, we know that's a letter. And we see a M, which comes from the Ma, so we know that's a letter. Right? Same here. Ash Shawar. We see a that's a letter. Sha, a Wa, and a R for the Ra. So we can easily, I'll do it over here so y'all can see it better. It's kind of already on that side. So we could easily turn it into, no, I'll do it on the side for the Syrian, for the ancient. So I will we easily would just do what? We're going to get an I, which we know looks like this. We're going to get a Ya, which we know looks like this. We're going to get a La, which we know looks like this, and a Ma, which looks like this. All we have, and again, it's easy for us because all we have to do is create our connectors based on what we see. The I, right? Like it's almost impossible really to connect, except if it's at the end of a word or in the middle somewhere. But if it's at the start, it doesn't connect, right? It's its own syllable. Then Ya is its own syllable. It doesn't share with any other consonants. But then there's only three syllables, right? Aya, Lum. Lum is one syllable. We know it's two letters, but it's one syllable, so they have to be what? Connected. Ayalum. Right? Simple. And then we can do the same in Assyrian. We know how many, Assyrian just makes it easier because now we have the ancient. We just know it's the four letters. We just got to write them appropriately. We know the I looks like this. Right? I, Ya, Slovakia, Ayalum, Ayalum. Simple. Here we go. Ayalum. Now let's do another one, right? Yashamai Allah. Yashamai Allah. Yashamai Allah. This is one of the words we're going to kind of break down a little bit later. Right? Let's look it up in the Blue Letter real fast. Let's go to blueletter.com and look up Ishmael. Y'all brothers should know, you should already start to kind of gather what this must mean. What brother hasn't heard this word right here? What word is this? Who's heard this word? Shammai. Hebrew is a language, an ancient language. Everything means something. It's not like English where you just, you hear a word or you hear a name or something, you have no idea what it means. Everything means something. What does Shammai mean? Close. What does Shammai mean? Let's go to Blue Letter. Type in Ishmael. Young man Victor said quiet. Not exactly. You on it. It can mean that, but it's almost figurative when it's used to mean quiet. What is the direct translation? You got that, Yanazor? Could you read Strong's definition?
God will hear.
God will what?
God will hear.
Or we get the mic?
God will hear.
Right. God will hear. The Most High will hear. It comes from two root words, right? Which is what? H8085, which is Shammai, and H410, which is what? Allah. Right? Not El, not Al, Allah, which means power. Okay? That's what the Allah means. It means power, but we're not, you know what I'm saying? We are not Muslims. They think that's God's name. It ain't. Okay? It's just a word that means power or the power. Okay? And it's connected with H8085, right? Shammai, which means to hear intelligently, attention, obedience. It essentially means to listen or to hear. There you go. Most High in Christ. Most High in Christ. Get that, brother, my man, my brother, Isupk Durham. You know what I'm saying? Got it correct. Absolutely. It means to listen, to hear or listen, which should make sense to black people. Because when black people, you know what I'm saying, when we talk to our kids or whatever, right? We don't say, be quiet. If you're talking to somebody and you need them to stop talking, you say what? Listen. Listen. Because if you're listening, you're not what? No, if you're listening, what are you not doing? Use the mic.
If you're listening, you're not talking.
You're not talking. So when General Muhammad is you know what I mean, got a, you know, somebody, whoever it may be, a brother who, you know what I'm saying, maybe it's a brother who's first time coming to the class and, you know, he don't really know the protocol or whatever, and he got to say Shammai, Shammai. What that really means is listen, listen, pay attention, right? So Yashemai Allah, right, means what? Like you said, the Lord will hear or God will hear, right? You know what I'm saying? Yashemai Allah. Yashemai, he hears. He hears the Most High, or the Most High, he hears, or he listens. Okay? That's how children were named at the time. You know what I mean? It wasn't some arbitrary, yeah, let's just name him, you know what I'm saying, Freddie. You know, like it had a meaning to it. Usually something implicated in the person's birth, you know what I'm saying, would be used to name them. So Yashemai Allah, right? So we're gonna do what? We're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna identify the letters. We see a Ya, a Shah, right? But here's, we got something here. Shammai, right? But guess what? You can't connect three different things at once. And we see the Shum, right? No, actually, no, my bad. The Shammai would be probably connected this way. So my bad. Like this. Shammai. Right? It's not because it's not Shammai. So my bad, Salakia. This is where the connector would be. So let me get rid of this. I don't want to confuse you. It's still two letters. It's still the Ma. See, damn, where's my black marker? Look at the black marker. Okay. The water. That's fine. We got the Ma, right? We got the I. We got a Ah. And we got a La. Right? But as we said, it's not Yashemai Allah, Yashemai. So this is connected. Right? And that tells us right there. So when we write it, we're going to do what? Before we even look at the blue letter, and we're going to look at, I'm going to make sure first. I don't want to spell it wrong. You feel me? There we go. Okay, correct. So we're going to do what? We're going to put a Ya. We're doing the ancient on this side. We're going to put a Ya. We're going to put a Shah. We're going to match it up. We're going to put a ma. We're going to put a I. We're going to put a ah. And we're going to put a la. And then we're going to look at our connectors and say, okay, ya, sha, ma. And then we're going to go as follows. We're going to know that ya, sha, my, Allah. Yashamai Allah. Yashamai Allah. Okay. And then the same thing in the Assyrian. Yeah. Which then we can see in the blue letter. This is how it's written. Ya. Sha. My. La. Yashamai Allah. But what if we have to work the other way around, the more difficult way? No, what if we see this? And now we have to turn it into this. Mm-hmm. Instead, what we just did was we took the transliteration and turned it into the ancient and turned it into the Assyrian. But what if we see the ancient or the Assyrian and we got to turn it into the transliteration? If anything, it should be easier. And if anything, this is the main thing we need to have a grasp on so we can read it. You understand? So now if we take Syria, which is Aram, right? And we need to transliterate it. These are not the transliterations. This is the English. This is what you see in the actual KJV. But we have this word right here. So I'm going to just kind of section this off like this so it's not confused with anything else. So we have this ancient like this. Ah, ra, and a ma. And of course, we have the connectors that help us out. Tell us what to do. That should be very simple. All we're going to do is flip it because we know we're reading from right to left. So what we see first from the right side is what we're going to say first. And the first letter is an ah. Then it's a ra. Then it's a ma. However, why is it not arama? We have the luxury in the ancient of seeing the connectors. The Ra and the Ma are connected. So it's not Arama, it is Aram. Right? It is Aram. But as the brother said, let's get one more in the ancient and then we'll do another one. We'll go to the Assyrian. Let's do in the ancient this one. right? We can literally do it like this. We can just look at each letter. And again, like I said, this is something that as you do it, as you consistently do it, it'll happen in your brain faster and faster. We can write a little arrow under each letter. And because we're familiar with the letters, we're just going to write each letter that we know. And what do I always say, Yanazar? When in doubt, which is going to help, this what we're doing right now is going to help us when we get to these next few Assyrian ones. Because as we said, when in doubt, just say the whole goddamn thing. When in doubt. So if we were just to say this whole thing, each letter, if we just enunciated each letter on its own as its own syllable, we would say what? We would say Yashara Allah. Yashara Allah. Which, again, it would be wrong, but it wouldn't be the worst thing you can say. I would rather you say Yashara Allah than ever say Yashra'al. And definitely to say Yisrael. But I would rather you say Yashara Allah. I will correct it, but at least I know the thinking. So this is in the worst case scenario, this is what you do. However, because we know how to use our connectors, we see, okay, this symbol represents, it's its own syllable. This symbol represents two consonants sharing a vowel or forming one syllable together. So we know this ya is going to stay ya. This ah is going to stay ah. This la is going to stay la. But these two, this sha and this ra, are going to form one syllable. They're going to form one syllable. So what? How does that work? Both letters are still present. Slakia. No sweat. But they're connected. So they are one syllable. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yashar Allah. So you're going to eliminate that. And these two would become Shar. See how that works? Hold on 1 second. Bear with me. Now, let's go to the Assyrian real fast. Spend just a minute on it. So we did these, those are Tawab. We did Yasha Allah, which of course means Israel. But let's say we see this. This is what we see. Oh, it must have this Ma Salakia. There we go. Now, unlike the ancient, we don't have connectors. So, like we said, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to go ahead and just use each symbol. Right? The worst we could say is adawama. But what we always want to keep in mind to help us out in situations like this, especially when we're reading the Assyrian for the Sabbath service, is that 9 times out of 10, or more like 8 times, more like 8 times out of 10, more like 8 times out of 10, these last 2 letters are going to be connected. You know, I'll say 7 times out of 10. You know, it's not always the case, but it's the case very often. You know what I'm saying? A good amount of times, more than 50%, these last 2 letters at the very least are going to be connected. So in a situation like this, when you're reading the Assyrian, you know what I'm saying? You'll be tawab if you go ahead and connect these last 2 and turn them into a singular syllable. You'll be tawab. To illustrate that, I'll just draw 1 arrow or 2 arrows conjoining together. And such is the case with Adawam. Adawam, not to be confused with Adawan. Adawam, which means Edom. Yeah, that's crazy, right? Yeah, me too, man. Make the music with your mouth. That's my man. Hell yeah. Adawam. Let's do one more before we go into the next. Let's do one more before we go into the next and show you how we do this. Right? Because the same principle will work. And again, it will not always work. But this is what you remember. We're trying to read. We need readers for the Sabbath service. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to read for the Sabbath service. You feel me? Like, don't be afraid. We all started somewhere. You know what I mean? And we all didn't get it. And we still don't get it. You know what I mean? I'll be in the Sabbath service sometimes. You know what I mean? Some words, you see a word that's a doozy, like, ooh-wee. But you don't get it. No sweat. So the next one is for the Greeks, Javan. And what do we see here? We see in the Assyrian, we see a ya, a wa. We see a ya, a wa. It's like it's a little long. And this na, it goes at the end of a word and extends a little bit farther down. Okay? Yo, and we believe we're trying to say you're one, but maybe we don't know that. We just see this. So what are we going to do? The same thing I just said. We're going to take each one. But guess what? No, we're not going to do that. We're going to do, like I said, we're going to assume, since we're reading the Assyrian, we're going to assume, since we're not familiar with the word, if it's a word you're familiar with and you know, then you know what to do. But you run across a word you don't know, especially a short word like this, we're going to go like this. We're not going to say Yawana. No, we could, but, and you know, and that's better than saying some other things. Good night. No sweat. We're going to go ahead and connect these 2. And we're going to say what? Yeah. 1. And in this case, we would be absolutely correct. Be absolutely correct to say yeah 1. That's the right word. So when in doubt, when absolutely in doubt, meaning you have no idea, you have no clue, you can do that. And again, this is, like I said, this will come with time. It'll come with time. And also you want to think about certain letters at the end of a word. That's another element to it. You know what I'm saying? Because now this is random. This is not one of the 18 nations. But let's say we see this word. Let's say we see this word. Let's say we see this word in the Assyrian. We see a la. I don't know why I wrote a shah. I'm tripping. Salakia. We see a la, a wa, and a ya. Are we gonna do this? Are we gonna do it? Now the last thing I said was to connect the last two, right? Connect them. My bad for my I'm erasing everything. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got the best handwriting in Israel. So we said la. Are we going to connect the two and do this? Lawai. Laway. No, we're not going to do that. We shouldn't do that. You gotta become familiar with certain letters. You know, chances are that a Hebrew word is not going to end on a ya like that. Like, can it happen? Absolutely. As in, I think that is, I believe that is the case with the word Sinai. Sinai, I believe, is how it's said in Hebrew. I could be wrong. You know what I'm saying? But this is actually, you'd be wrong, because this is the word for Levi. And in fact, it is not this letter by itself, then these two connected. And it is also not all of the letters by themselves. But you would have been better off saying la wa ya, even though that is not the exact that's not the correct pronunciation. Shout out to my rib, la wa ya. However, in this case, is where coming and like knowing the words helps, which is what I'm saying. You would be better off saying la wa ya, because the actual way this word is done is like this. These first two letters connect. So saying la wa ya would be better than saying la wai. You feel me? But the correct way is lo ya. So that's what becoming familiar with certain words really helps. And furthermore, you know what I'm saying, just kind of knowing, you know, a word is not going to end with a ya being connected to the previous letter. It's just not common. It can happen, and it happens, but it's just not common. You see a ya at the end of a letter, you're better off assuming it's ya. Okay? Now, let's move on to some verbs. Let's move on to a couple of verbs. And I want to show something in relation to it. So everybody got this? Hope so. Okay. And again, shout out to Officer Yanazar for getting the new materials, new erasers, and you know what I'm saying, dry erase markers to water, brother. Here we go. All right. So let's get some words, right? And show the connection. So bear with me. Go to my notes. Just go to blueletterbible.org, or you can go to your concordance if you have one. You said what? I'm going to tell you in just a second. Bear with me. We're going to get one part. So type in the word judge. Scroll down till you get to the shahs. You should say the word shapat. You should see somewhere. You should see this. You should see this. Where's this one? You should see that. And when you see it, click on it. And once you click on it, you should see that it's Hebrew Strong's H8199. You see? Go down. Keep going. Keep going. Slow down, slow. Keep going, my bad. Keep going down. Dig. And you see, so if I'm gonna use your phone, I'll use my phone, so sweat. If you look at this word, what you will see, and this word is pronounced Shapat. Shout out to Officer Shapat out in Houston, Texas. It's a stand-up brother. You know what I'm saying? My guy. Now, if you look at the word Shapat, you will see, right? You will see in the KJV, scroll down, click on where it says Strong's Info, and scroll down to where it says KJV translation count. It'll say total 203 times. But if you notice, it says the first one says Judge V. Y'all see that? Judge V. And the second one says what? Judge N. judge in. Meaning what? The word shapat doubles as both a what? We're talking grammar now. V in. V in. The V in part. What could that mean? Mathis, Brown, Judy. And what does a judge do? He does what? So a judge judges, right? The word shapat doubles as both a verb and a noun. Similar to the word judge in English. Shapat is an action. You can shapat. As in the scripture that says, judge righteous judgment. It's an action. But then there are other scriptures that say, the judges thereof. You understand? And there's more. Because if we go to H, let's go to H, type in H8201. You'll see that it still says shapat. And if you scroll down the Strong's definition, it says a judgment. A judgment. Judgments. Right? That's another noun. Or another way of using the word as a noun. But it means the same thing. Then if you go to H8202, it's another noun. A name, a proper masculine noun. It's the name of 8 Israelites, as Officer Shapat's name is Shapat. H8202. You understand? So it can mean verb as in he judged, and a noun as in the judge but it could also be a noun as in judgments, right? And then it can be a proper noun meaning judge or judged. Okay. Noun and verb. That's correct, young man. So this relationship between noun and verb is actually common in Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? Which is also common in a lot of languages. Don't think this is something exclusive to Hebrew, because it's common in English. Because what does a runner do? What does a runner do? He runs. You know what I'm saying? What does a boxer do? He boxes. Okay? But this is also true in Hebrew. So we might have some words like these. Bear with me. What does the word ibad mean? What you got, Yanazor?
To serve.
Right. Ibad is, second. Ibad is a verb which means to serve. But let's go to, second. Let's go to H5649. And we will see the exact same ibad with the I, a ba, and a da. Ibad, right? But as compared to H5647, if you look at H5647, it says verb. Right now we're doing H5647. H5647, and it says a verb. You understand? Might be hard for y'all to see, but it's there. You go. It says a verb. Ibad. Verb. But even then, if you look at the Strong's info, it'll say at sometimes husbandman, keep, right? Serve or servant, right? But then if you look at H5649, just two up, now it says what? A masculine noun. I'm trying for them to see it. H5649. There we go. Same ibad. Don't forget, don't look at those damn stupid marks. They mean nothing. Ibad, masculine noun. Etymology from ibad. It's the same pronunciation. Ibad. So ibad, like shapat, is to serve, but it also means servant. Okay. So like you bear with me. Then you have imad 5975, which is a verb. H5975, which is a verb, which means to stand. We say it in the class, imadium, which means you all stand, right? But again, imad, same thing. 5975 is imad as a verb to stand, but then H5977 is a masculine noun, still spelled the same. H5975 is the verb to stand, H5975. But if you go to H5977, it still says imad, but it is a masculine noun. I know it's hard for y'all to see. I'm sorry, Salakia. I'm trying to go so y'all can there we go. Masculine noun from Imad. Still says Imad. Right? And in this context, it means a standing place or a place where one stands. Right? This is a noun. Standing place. So this is a verb. This is a noun. This is a verb. This is a noun. Now check this out. Let's see. One second. Page 3427. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bear with me. This particular word does not do the same thing. It doesn't double as a verb and a noun. Simply means to sit. Or it could also mean to place, like, you know what I'm saying, like sit that there or place that here. You know what I'm saying? The point is, a lot of times, the verb and the noun are the same. You'll use a verb, or you can use a verb to double as a noun. You can use the verb to describe either the thing that does it or where it does it. As in shapat, shapat can mean to do the action of judging. It can also be the person who does the action of judging, and it can be the judgment all at the same time. You understand what I'm saying? Ibad can be the action of serving and the person who does it. Imad can be the action of standing and the place where you stand. Right? Yashab just means to sit. It's different. It's not always the same, but this is just to demonstrate how, in Hebrew, how these words function in multiple ways. You understand? They function in multiple ways, no different than some of your more modern languages. So we can use this to our advantage as we're learning the language, because now we don't even have to search out for a different word. We already know the word. So if we know how to say to judge, and I can use this to formulate the sentence of I judged or I will judge. I can also use it to say he is a judge. And I can also use it to talk about the judgments. Get up. Absolutely. You absolutely can say Anya Shapat, which will mean I am a judge. Count. That's a perfect way to put it. You know what I'm saying? Most High in Christ. You can say Yashapat, he judges. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what it is, man. This is one of the things that our language does well, is it all connects. You know what I'm saying? It's like cyclical. It's, you know, it all connects in a circle. It's not like this some random thing over here, some random thing over here. No, all of it kind of is related to each other. Go ahead, Yanazo.
You know, we do this class and we study this language.
Mm-hmm.
I just, if you could help me understand why they tried to make it seem like this was like some kind of barbaric language. Like, I don't understand that. Like, how did they come to that?
How did they come to that conclusion?
Yeah, like I was reading up and they were saying, like, you know, I was reading somewhere and it said that like the ancient Hebrew was considered like barbaric, you know,
Mm-hmm.
language. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I was like saying to myself, how the fuck?
I got you.
What the fuck is they talking about?
I mean, I can't answer that with, you know, I can't answer that historically as a why they felt that. But what I can say is whoever is creating the history creates the narrative. You know what I'm saying? They create the narrative. So it's very easy for whoever is in charge or wants to be in charge to paint the enemy or the person who is kind of between them and being in charge as a savage, right? As a savage or as a lower form. We're smarter than them. We're better than them. We speak better than them. Go ahead, Yanazor.
It's wild because I understand now, you know, that gives them the excuse
exactly
to alter the language and make it seem like they're making it better.
And if you and it makes sense because if you look at our history, we've been looked down upon all throughout our history. What did Joseph tell his brothers? Tell them you're shepherds. Because the Egyptians what? They hate shepherds. They just hate common folk, which goes back to our history because Jacob was what? A plain man dwelling in tents. We are the descendants of regular niggas. When I say regular, I don't mean regular as in we're not special, because we're the most special. But regular as in, you know, Esau, this is how it was put to me. Esau was ambitious. And you can tell that this society is Esau's society, because this society is all about ambition and capitalism. And let's, from the bottom to the top. That's his culture. Our culture is more of a culture of simplicity, relaxing, chilling. You know what I'm saying? You go to, what you got? Enjoying, man. You know what I'm saying? I remember, I just remember coming up. You know this. I remember coming up, and you know, I'm not from Harlem or Brooklyn, but I remember sometimes, you know, my pops, he would either take me to these places for some reason, and I would go to these places, and I would see like people who just put a little chair on the block in front of a store or in front of their apartment, and they would just be chilling, and they look the happiest. It would be chilling and be good. That's our way. You know what I'm saying? You give a couple of niggas in the ghetto of New York a damn fire hydrant, they'll turn it into a water park and be happy as they don't know what. We're simple people. You know what I'm saying? We're not to say we can accomplish great things, but what I mean is that our demeanor is one of, you know, contentment. We're very lax, chill people. Good.
You know, what you said that we accomplish great things, which we obviously can. We did it out of necessity.
Absolutely.
And love of art and stuff like that, man. Just, you know, like, you know, one of the things that you know, this might seem simple, if I may, like when I read in the book of Leviticus where we was using spoons and forks, yo, think about that, man. Yeah. That's way ahead of the heathen, man.
Absolutely.
You understand?
Absolutely.
And we did that because, yo, it's better.
Yeah. And we and guess what? And the whole world has kind of adapted to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, just use a fork and a spoon and life is a lot easier. You know what I mean? Instead of using I saw that. Did I tell you I saw that the other day? I seen it with my own eyes. You know what I'm saying? I was working, man, because sometimes I do a little bit of DoorDash, right? And I was doing it, and I went to go pick up some food from a restaurant. It was an Indian restaurant in Morrisville. Bunch of Elamites. And this cat was sitting there. He must have been on his lunch break. And he was reading something on his phone and just sopping it up with his fingers. And it was regular, like it was nothing to him, and just looking at his phone. I'm like, God damn, like this is wild. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we use spoons and forks. We're simple people, you know what I mean? But no sweat. So next week we'll piggyback off of this, and again, simplified. Let's get simple and kind of just trudge through this with some understanding that makes it easy for us to say simple things. Like we learned today of how to simply say to serve, or a servant, to stand, or where you stand, right? Stand there, right? Or to say judge, or judgments. And we're going to continue to build off of that. So if there's no questions in the room, the most young man says, simple is better. Most High in Christ, damn right. Absolutely. So if there's no more questions in the room, you know what I'm saying, we're going to go ahead and clip it right there. Again, I encourage everybody to like, share, and subscribe to all the ISUPK pages and things like that. And with that, I pass the class over to Priest and Officer Yanazo.
Shalom, Israel. As you know, we are the ISUPK out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or a sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or a sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18 and 21. And Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10, means 10th in the Hebrew and is pronounced ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocation, which is the blowing of the trumpets. Most High in Christ, which is September 6th, the feast of the blowing of the trumpet. That is the next holy convocation. Remind Akim and Aquatium to check on social media such as isupk.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUPK events and materials. And it's very important. I mean, if you're in this school and you're really trying to go into this truth and keep up with what's happening, it is essential that you keep up with the social media, Black Watch, Cross the Line Radio, ISUPK Radio, whatever. Hear ye the prophets, what is it? And of course, Unplugged from the Matrix, which is done here in Raleigh, Durham area, okay? It's just so important, man, because what I've learned is like, okay, we come to class and we learn, but to keep that flow and to stay in that spirit and to have conversation, that's how important it is. That, like, let's say two brothers, we just both watch a certain show, then we talk about it, that builds brotherhood, you understand? Stuff like that. That's all. It's essential, that we do that. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he is to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirt, pants, headband, or scarf. And with that, Amajim.